Welcome to What the Hell You're Talking About for the April 13th week, I
Friday the
guess.
13th.
Friday Friday the 13th. Wow. It's nice out. We're going to talk about Andre the Giant, the documentary. Uh I happen to be a wrestling nerd, I guess. So I know. So some terms you're going to hear from me, only wrestling people know. The guy I'm speaking to right now is going to have no idea what I'm talking about. So
We'll see. I mean, I used to watch wrestling, so we'll see.
you're not going to know the inside terms I'm going to mention. You're just not going to mention. You're
Okay.
just not going to know
Fair
most of the
enough.
stuff. We're going to start out with that. Do you want me to begin, or you want to start? You
Uh,
want to start first?
you can start. You can start.
Okay. For everyone who knows wrestling, you know, either you could be like a just a regular fan, someone who's not particularly into the I was going to say sport like I am. Andre Giant is probably a really recognizable name for you, especially in the '80s when that's a golden age of wrestling. It's Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Andre the Giant. He was around before both of them. He worked for Vince McMahon Senior for the WWF back in the '70s, and he would basically be linked around to the territories. If anyone knows about the territories in wrestling back in the '70s, they had the Jim Crockett Promotions, they had the Midwest, Vern Gagne. You have the guys in the South, um, but he would be linked around to different promotions because he was an attraction. He was 7'4", 500-pound man who was undefeated everywhere he went. And the thing about Andre was, every wrestler will tell you, whoever met him, in a room full of tough guys, he was the baddest person in that room. Nobody would tell him what to do. He would do whatever he felt like in the ring. If he didn't like you, you would know it.
That he would make you pay.
If he didn't like you for whatever, it didn't matter. If you didn't do anything wrong to him, didn't matter. He would make you pay. We watched the documentary. He was having a match with the Macho Man Randy Savage, and I know this. I know this for a fact that he hated Macho Man because of the way he treated Elizabeth, and this was in real life. He hated him. So when he got him in the ring, he would stiff him a little bit. When I use that term, he would be stiff with him. And wrestling is not real, but he would land real shots on the Macho Man. It's like he would hit him hard. He would stand on his back. He would stand on his hair.
Yeah,
He would do.
yeah, he would do that walk on people. He would stand on him.
Yeah, he would say like that he didn't like you if you walked out of that ring like you thought you were going to lose your life. He hated Big John Studd just because he was big.
And the fact that he took his stepping over the rope move.
Well, that's the thing about wrestlers. They're really, really petty. It's if you do something, even though John Studd could do it, because he was 6'9", 300 some odd pounds, he could step
Right.
over the top rope.
Right.
But the fact
But
that
Andre the
that's
Giant
Andre's
did it
thing.
first, right? That was his thing. So I don't even think that's petty. I just think that's my thing. That's kind of my signature thing, and you don't do it. You know what I mean? So I don't think I was petty
Yeah,
at all. I'd beat the shit out of him too.
yeah. So Big John Studd did it anyway, and Andre the Giant beat him within like an inch of his life. He knows how to beat you without making you bleed.
Yeah.
He knows how to beat you to where like you feel pain and you can't breathe, and you can feel his strength. For a guy who never worked out, and they will tell you he never worked out.
Mm.
But he was just strong. He was just naturally strong, and all the guys respected him.
Right.
Up until and I like the stories. The Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan were probably the best.
Yeah.
Well, Vince McMahon was more laid back, but Hulk Hogan he had the best stories when.
Yeah. Hogan really made it a good documentary.
Yeah, he basically said a story of when Andre would just walk past you and just fart, and he loved that.
Yeah.
And he would go into an elevator and just fart and didn't care, just would laugh about it. It was around a bunch of strangers, so like Andre, you know how to work a crowd. He was a baby face for most of his career. Do you know
Right.
what a baby face means?
I mean, I get the gist of what it is. I mean, I don't know the true definition, but it's basically like I don't know how to explain it, but it's a baby face.
He was a good guy. Baby
Yeah,
face is a
yeah,
good guy. He's a good guy.
yeah.
When he turned heel, do you know what heel means?
Oh Jesus Christ!
Never mind. All right, let's continue. Yeah, when he turned heel when around the time WrestleMania 3 came around.
Right.
Uh, that that was when you get that confrontation between him and Hogan, but and he came out with Bobby Heenan. He's like, "What are you
Right.
doing? What are you doing with this guy, brother?"
Yeah, yeah. He was so disappointed. That part right there, that made me like, I was like, man, because like that was around the time I got into it. Like, so when he started talking about that, I was like, okay, I remember all this now. Like, it wasn't in my mind until I watched this, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember all this. This is around the time. And see, as far as I'm concerned, that's around the time I got into wrestling. Andre the Giant was always the bad guy to me. Like, so I didn't know. There's a lot of things I didn't know about wrestling, that it was just regional, and everybody had, there was just regional stars here and there, and then Vince McMahon Sr. brought it all together, and Vince McMahon Jr. They brought it together.
No,
So
Mr. Man Jr. brought
brought it
it
together,
Mr. Man
right.
Sr. was a New York guy.
Right.
He owned the New York territory, Northeast. He was satisfied with being regional.
Right.
Vince McMahon Jr., Vincent K. McMahon. We just going. He doesn't like to be called Junior. He doesn't like
Well,
anybody to be called
chances
Junior.
are he's never gonna hear this, so I'm gonna call him what I want to call him.
if he does hear it, then you'll hear from him. But yeah, he's Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So he bought the company from his father when he was 32 years old. Right? He worked for his father. He bought the company, and he did something that wrestling promoters kill other people for. He went into their territories and started running shows in their territories and taking their best stars from them. Hulk Hogan was an AWA guy for Vern Gagne. Vern Gagne had Hulk Hogan. He had Jesse Body Ventura. He had Rick Rude. He had Mr. Perfect. Sergeant Slaughter, I think. He went to Raw. He had a big issue with Crockett. If anyone knows who Crockett is, he owns NWA, which turned into WCW, which Ted Turner bought in 1988.
Okay. All right.
So-
now let's try to stay on subject, because we can go off and all of a sudden this is a WWE podcast.
I don't want to do that because I already listened to a few wrestling podcasts, so we're just gonna stick to the documentary. I'm going off on a
Right.
tangent. I'm sorry.
Right. It's all right. Now, all right. Well, let me go. All right. Well, yeah. When the part with Hogan, when he ripped his shirt off and Hogan was sitting there looking like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. Like that was so funny to me. But at the same time, in a crazy funny way, like this was funny to me because I'm like now I'm this is bringing, like, because I was into it then, to where I thought it was real, kind of. You know what I mean? In a weird way, you think it was fake, but at the same time, you think it's real. And as a kid, you want it to be real, so you're going off on the fact that it's real. I'm like, my emotions started coming back to where I was thinking like, damn, that was messed up. And I was thinking like, damn, Andre the Giant did him dirty. And I was just like, oh man, this is wrong. Like, they was friends. And so in my head, rewatching it, I started getting those feelings back from when I was little, and I was just like, man, that's crazy that that I can feel this emotional about this after years later, and knowing it's scripted. So like it was
it's nostalgic. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the reason why I listen to the old podcast about the old stuff, because you get nostalgic. You start thinking about what happened in the past, and you start putting stuff together, and especially when they start talking about the behind the scenes stuff, when like I never heard Vince McMahon talk about the business, like exposing it. He
Yeah.
always keeps it, you know, he always he always keeps it kayfabe. Kayfabe is he doesn't break character. That's just what he never talks about. Oh, Hulk Hogan said Hulk Hogan kept asking me who was going to win the match. He kept asking me that.
Right.
He never mentioned that in real.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute, did Mr. Man just say that? He never does that.
Right.
Like Hogan's done it a few times. He's like, I need a finish for the match. I need a finish for the match. I need a finish. And Andre was just fucking with him, saying, I'll do what I want to do.
Right. Don't. He just kept saying, "Don't worry, everything's gonna work out." I'm like, yo.
he's like everything's gonna work out just fine.
Right. And he was just sitting there thinking like, all right, what the hell? And then he was like, when I actually pinned him, I was like, oh, okay. I was just surprised he was saying like, I was like, man, that's like to go into the match not knowing what's going to happen. I'm like, he probably was nervous the whole time. He was like, everything went as planned or whatever. And then when I dropped the leg on him, I thought he was gonna kick out, and then he didn't. So that was basically the passing of the torch or whatever. And I was like, okay,
that was a major passing of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was seeing it now. Right. Seeing it now, I know that, but I didn't know that at the time. All I knew was Hulk Hogan took down the big bad giant. He slammed him, and his thing was always slamming the big guy or whatever. So to me, that was the thing. And I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. Like, that was my dude.
Well, that's our era. Like we're of a certain age. I don't want to say how old. You know what I'm saying? We're of a certain age, so when we grew up...
What are you, a female?
See, you don't want to say your age because, then people don't teach you seriously and listen to podcasts or everyone, we're the same age, so we grew up around that era where wrestling was cartoonish, so we watched it. They actually had a WWF cartoon.
Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling.
Oh yeah,
I remember. I used to watch it.
And Andre the Giant was on it, and we that just brings you back when we start talking about these old characters.
Right.
And, they talking about Andre, and one thing I did not know is that he has a daughter. I did not know he had a daughter.
I didn't know that either. And you know what else I didn't know, which was, I don't know, it's probably obvious to everybody else. I didn't know that he had a condition. I just thought he was tall. You see 7-foot NBA players. I just thought he was a really big, tall guy. I didn't know he had he suffered from acromegaly. It's called acromegaly, right? And it's called, or giantism or whatever. So,
gigantism, whatever. But like if you look at him and Shaq is proportional.
Right.
Shaq... Shaq's hands aren't as big as Andre's hands. Have you seen Andre's hands?
Yes.
His hands are huge.
He covered Mean Gene's head.
Yeah, his hands are... Like, he had extra teeth in his mouth. His head was bigger. Everything on him was bigger. Like, he was an actual giant.
Right.
Where Shaq... Even Wilt Chamberlain who was tall, who was about the same height.
Right.
They was both 7'4".
Right.
So, Wilt Chamberlain looked normal. He was just tall. This guy was just huge.
Right.
And I always loved that they mentioned how many beers he could drink.
He could drink like a whole case or something like that. He said
he drank a whole case of wine because he was French.
I was like, man. Yeah, the French part helped him, and the giantism helped him with the whole case of wine. That's crazy. I was like, man. But yeah, like I didn't know that he had and they said that he was destined to not have a long life because of the condition he had. I was like, man, I didn't know any of that. I just thought, he was out of shape, so he had a heart attack. I didn't know it was more than that. Until watching this documentary. So,
well, he actually lost weight before he died. He could. That's the thing. He wasn't out of control when it comes to eating. Like, he could gain and lose weight whenever he wanted. He just stayed big because that's just what he was, Right. But I know somebody with the same who had the same issue with growing up. This dude was 14 years old. He was 7 feet tall. So, and he had the same pituitary issue where you have a tumor growing in your pituitary gland that helps you grow. And if you keep pressing on the pituitary gland, it keeps on making you grow, keep on producing more of that. Whatever whatever jizz that makes you grow and shit. So
I should have known you were going somewhere with that.
I couldn't think of the stuff that makes you grow, but whatever. But yeah, but so it made him grow. You know, you have to have that surgery, or things are going to start happening. You know, to your bones or your legs. You know, so he had the surgery in his foot, and they didn't even know how to operate on him because he was so big.
Right.
Yeah, this is back in the '80s. You know, this is back
right. Even before that. So let's just think about the long flights he had to take. They were talking about how the bathroom, he couldn't fit in the bathrooms, and he would be on 14-hour flights. Oh, he had to go to the bathroom in buckets and stuff like that. It was crazy. Like, it was just, the whole thing was just like, his whole life was an inconvenience because of his size. And
he could not find clothes.
Right. And he was talking about he was telling his best friend that he just wish he could spend one day in that guy's shoes where he just didn't have.
Timmy White.
One day a week. He's like, where he could just walk around, no problem. Nobody notice him. Nobody wants to either mock him or talk to him or anything. Because then he started getting to the point where people went from wanting to see him to mocking him at one point and laughing at him when he walked by, and you know, he would cry over that and stuff like that. I was like, man, that's.
Well, yeah, he was sensitive. You know, he wasn't a big bad. He wasn't a big badass to regular people unless they fuck with him.
Right.
To wrestlers, to the biggest guys there, and I remember when he started getting older after he lost that match to Hogan. Vince McMahon still wanted to use him. Right. You know, like Vince McMahon, he's a businessman, but he don't give a fuck. He don't like he said, "Oh, Andre is special. He was your first guy." You know, like when they said at the end when they asked Vince McMahon, out of all the people you've lost, does he hurt the most? And I said out loud, I actually said, he was like, "You better think about this. And you better think really well because he lost a lot of people.
He lost a lot of wrestlers. Yeah.
One of them died right there. One of them died right there in '99 in the Kemper Arena in Missouri. Owen Hart fell right out the sky. Yeah. So when just try to avoid that question. Yeah, you know, and he
kind of did, right? He definitely got emotional, but he didn't answer. He just said it was tough, right? That's what he did.
Yeah, he said he was special.
He said he was special.
He said he was special, and you know, I kind of compare Vince McMahon to one of his best friends, Donald Trump, because they pretty much are the same person. Right. But if Vince McMahon, if he ever became president, things would be a lot worse. He's not.
You think so?
He's not as cool as Donald. This guy's a fucking maniac. If you ever want to talk about him one day, I don't know if we're ever going to get into that in this podcast, but
you never know.
I have
maybe the day he dies, we'll get into it.
Yeah, that should be. I don't know. He doesn't look too healthy.
Let's not put bad omens on him.
I know. I do not wish anything bad on this man at all. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. All right, just to wrap on that, he had a 27-year career. He died at 46 years old of a heart attack, from the condition of his giantism or gigantism, however you say it. And I guess we'll move on to you wanted to talk about Colin Kaepernick's situation. Me personally, I don't feel like talking about it anymore, so I'll let you start, and I'll just go based off of what you're saying.
Okay, this is real quick. We're not going to get into too much. If we would have had this podcast maybe like 2 years ago, we would have got into it.
Right.
But you know, he had a workout. I guess Seattle had contacted his agent about him coming aboard. Maybe like a week or so ago, maybe a few days ago, actually. Mm-hmm. And they asked him, he was like, "Well, if you come aboard, we don't want you to kneel." And he said,
he can't promise that he wouldn't do it, right? That's what
he said he can't promise that he wouldn't do it. And then they signed someone I never heard of. So now all you hear from the good old boys, the sports talk, they're saying, "Oh, he's a big distraction. He's a big distraction." every time someone does anything, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, it's always labeled a distraction in football. They always label it that, and it's never the case. You know, I have no like this guy's being blackballed. You know, he has a lawsuit going on with the NFL right now. So if he would have got signed, I'm not sure how that would have affected his lawsuit. But he was effectively blackballed. We're never going to see Colin Kaepernick play football in this country again. I have no idea what he's going to do with himself to earn a living. But I just think it's a sad state of affairs that a man who silently protests black people being murdered in the streets, now he's being blackballed by white billionaires. But okay,
it's a shame.
We can move on.
Well, yeah, real quick, I'll just say, yeah, it's crazy, and they keep saying that that's not the problem, but then if they ask him, is he gonna kneel? He said he can't promise that he won't, and then they don't sign him. To me, that's pretty direct right there. That it's that, and it's right in line with what he's suing the NFL for. So, yeah, that's basically all I wanted to add to that. So I guess we'll just move on now to the your boy Mark Sanchez getting suspended for PEDs. Like, what? What is that?
So what you're saying is Mark Sanchez looked like Mark Sanchez with PEDs. So this is the best he could possibly do.
Well, maybe he just started using it. I don't know, because we haven't seen him in a while. Like, I haven't seen him. I don't even know who he played for last year or if he played last year.
Chicago. He played for Chicago.
Okay. Yeah, right, Chicago. So, but I don't know. Like, I guess he said, well, let me try this. And I mean, now granted, I always try to wait and see on these PD suspensions, because even though we will never know, I'm never quick to just assume that a guy is guilty on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, he's guilty because he didn't probably do his homework on maybe what he took in his body or whatever, because you're guilty one way or another. But I also can understand possible misunderstandings or issues that may have happened. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not quick to just be like, oh, well, he like, he was cheating. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know anymore. You just don't know anymore. And to be honest, I don't really care about those stories. I thought it was funny that it was Mark Sanchez, but whenever these names come up, I don't even pay attention to them in any sport. Like, if somebody gets suspended for PEDs or whatever, I'm so numb to it now. Like, I don't even care if that happens. So, but it was just his name that goes along with everything that he's done with the butt fumble and everything. We just see Mark Sanchez suspended for PEDs. It was just like, wow, that's crazy.
Well, real quick before we end this, Mark Sanchez is the reason I don't want a USC quarterback. Well, he's one of the reasons
for your Giants.
A USC quarterback for my team. That's why this guy from USC, I just want to skip. I want to skip over him, but he's number one pick. So I'm all kind of torn. I just hope that Cleveland takes him so we can just move on. And another thing, which I completely forgot, so we can move on to the whole thing.
All right. So the notable names from the Hall of Fame inductees this week were Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Ray Allen, Grant Hill, Maurice Cheeks, and then in WNBA they had Tina Thompson. So I was like, this is a pretty good class this year. Like, I was like, man, this is. And then I kept going further. I read some other names. There's always some names up there that I don't recognize, that I don't know who they are. They're like coaches from who knows where, or somebody from somewhere. And then I saw Dino Raja, a Croatian player that played for the Celtics. I was like, wait a minute, this can't be this. I had to look it up. I was like, this can't be that Dino Raja. And I'm like, what? I looked it up and I'm like, it's that Dino Raja. I'm like, how did he make it? So I was like, all right, well, let me look up his numbers. I was like, all right. In the NBA, he averaged a career of like 15 to 16 points a game. I'm like, okay, that's not
5 seasons.
And he only played like 4 or 5 seasons. And yeah, out of those 5 seasons, only 4 of them he averaged in double digits. So I was like, okay, and then he never made it to 20 a game. I think the highest average he had was like 17 or 16. So I was like, what? So I was like, all right, well, it's got to be something else. All right. So I look. It says he's won 2 championships in Croatia, but I'm like, all right. He must have been a hell of a Croatian player to make this Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, like his stats are as follows: he's a 2-time EuroLeague champion. He's a FIBA European Selection 91, the FIBA Croat champion 92, the 3-time Yugoslav League champion 1988 to 1990, a 2-time Greek League champion, the Greek League Finals MVP, the 2-time Croatian League champion, the Yugoslav Cup winner, the Croatian Cup winner, the all NBA rookie team, Euro Final Four MVP, 1989 FIBA's 50 greatest players, and the 50 greatest EuroLeague contributors. So that's why he's making it. Not because of anything in the NBA, okay, because of what he did overseas.
Okay.
But in the NBA, you know, he was on those terrible Celtics teams. Yeah, I know. He was on those terrible Celtics teams that had Rick Fox. You know, they had Dana Barros, and they didn't do anything. You know, they were just losing every year after Larry Bird retired. I think he joined the team right after Larry Bird retired. He was waiting to join Larry Bird. Larry Bird was like, nah. Yeah, like, go ahead, man. It's yours.
Like, go ahead. You can have this era. I don't want it. I don't want to be a part of this. But yeah, I was just like, man. I was like, because I would have never remembered his name. Like, I remembered him immediately, but I would have never thought of him ever again if I didn't see that. I was like, man. Exactly. Now, as far as Grant Hill, I thought he was well on his way before the injuries. I wasn't sure if he was going to make it. But I guess they figured, once they put T-Mac in there, who I also didn't think would make it based on his unavailability, I was like, all right, well, I just don't want them. I mean, because I like Grant Hill, and I think Grant Hill would have been definitely a Hall of Famer if his injuries. But I just don't want them to start watering it down to where it looked like anybody could make it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, Grant Hill, he did come back from that injury. He made the All-Star team at least once or twice after the injuries, and when he was older, he was like our age when he was making the All-Star team. You know what I'm saying? Like he was fresh.
Yeah, because I don't remember him making the All-Star team by then, but I don't know. Maybe.
He made it at least once in Phoenix, once or twice in Phoenix. He was actually decent, but he wasn't nowhere near what he was. Right. But if you look at his numbers, if you look at any of the those '90s players that we look at, if you look at their numbers, they aren't really that impressive.
Right. Even Reggie Miller, like as great as we know Reggie Miller to be, his numbers, if you look at his numbers, they're not Hall of Fame numbers, but we all know how great he was. We all know how special he was. So that's what's important. So but yeah, I mean, but as far as the rest of these guys in this list, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Ray Allen, those guys were automatic. Like we knew they would be, and well deserved to be in there. They don't have these biases like the NFL do when it comes to putting people in the Hall of Fame. Like these guys, I mean, now granted, these guys were all stand-up guys. Now Jason Kidd did have a couple of blemishes in his past, but they didn't hold that against him. And so, and that's how it should be. He was a great player. And he's one of the best point guards we've ever seen.
What blemishes?
Well, there was the Jim Jackson.
You're talking about Robin Givens?
Yeah, and then and he had two DUIs, didn't
he? Yeah.
So those are blemishes. So you know what I mean. So like but they didn't hold it against him.
Yeah, they didn't hold against him. As far as everyone else goes, Steve Nash. Steve Nash, yeah, definitely. He's a 2-time MVP. I remember we had this discussion years ago about him being a 2-time MVP. I really never considered Steve Nash to be MVP. I mean, by the letter of the law, he was the MVP. I can't take anything away from him as far as that goes, but as far as MVPs go, um, for my ranking, he's since he didn't play any defense and his numbers were fine. You know, they weren't out of this world. You know, his numbers were fine, but he was playing on that Suns team that the NBA just fell in love with. They just love D'Antoni and oh, look at this team! Look how they're moving the ball and they're scoring so many points and everyone's shooting and scoring. We love it. It's the new NBA and Steve Nash is MVP. They never won anything. D'Antoni's never going to win a championship. We're going to get to the NBA playoffs in a minute.
Yeah.
But but as far as like Jason Kidd goes, I'm fine with him being a Hall of Famer. I mean, there's no real there's no real dispute here with any of the guys.
No.
Tina Thompson, I didn't really watch much of the WNBA. I just saw she won those 2 championships with Houston, and I want to ask a question, but I don't know how to ask it about her. Was she the one? Was she the one that
had the wear the lipstick?
Yeah, she won.
That was her,
lipstick, yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah. That's why. That's all. She wore the lipstick.
I was gonna ask if she had the DSLs, but okay, all right.
Okay, it's stupid. All right, moving on. So, the Knicks and Orlando both fired their coaches this week. Right after the season ended, Orlando fired what's that guy's name from Indiana? I forget his name. But the Knicks fired Jeff Hornacek, and now, and I mean, like I got this update like in the middle of the night, so I'm like, they waited as soon as this flight landed from Cleveland to New York and got rid of him. And I was like, okay, well,
they was on a tarmac waiting for him to go home.
They was like, hey, hold this pink paper for me. I was like, damn, they didn't even wait. So yeah, they got rid of him, and then they now the people that they're trying to look into, they're gonna call Mark Jackson, Jay Wright from Villanova, Jerry Stackhouse, which was a surprising name, David Fisdale from the Grizzlies, and David Blatt, who was with Cleveland. So who do you think?
Horrible. All horrible.
Well, out of all of them, who would you choose?
Becky Hammond. That's how I would choose. But
that's not a bad choice.
But yeah, like I don't like David. I don't like Tisdale. I mean, what has he done in this league? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he had those Memphis teams, but you know, like, has he really built that team, or was that he just took over for somebody who did build the team and didn't do much with it after those guys left? You know what I mean? He's not really one I would go after. I mean, I guess if you want to give him a whirl, but you know, I wouldn't go for him. Jay Wright is not going anywhere.
No,
Jay Wright is staying in Villanova. He's building kind of a dynasty out there. He doesn't have any one and dones. He's got all guys who are staying all 4 years. Those guys are winning championships. Those one and dones don't win anything. One time they won one. That Kentucky team that Calipari took. That's the only time that they won a championship. Only.
Yeah.
You know, one and dones, they get in there, they put butts in the seats, and that's it. They don't win championships.
Yeah.
But Jay Wright, he's going to stay there. Jerry Stackhouse, I'm not really. No. I haven't seen him coach in the NBA level. I think he was in G League coaching there. But yeah. if you want a G League coach, then you're going to play like a bunch of fucking G Leaguers. So Mark Jackson, leave that crazy Negro alone. Let his ass. I mean, if they want to hire Mark Jackson, I am completely fine with them hiring Mark Jackson. But I'm tired of Knicks fans constantly talking about Mark Jackson this, Mark Jackson that. We need Mark Jackson. Now they're talking about bringing back Jeff Van Gundy. I'm like, Jeff Van Gundy doesn't want to work for Dolan. He left a long time ago. That's a blast from the past. It'll never happen again. We need a no name. We need someone, I don't know that person's name. Somebody from a really good system that I don't know that person's name.
Well,
That's what I want.
now, see me, I prefer like me. I want Mark Jackson. Like that's who I want to be our coach. Like I know with Golden State they have a way more talented team, but he taught that team how to play defense, and Steve Kerr said that he still uses Mark Jackson's principles. So that's what I want. Like I'm not as concerned with offense. I'm concerned like there's very few teams in this league that play really good defense anymore, and Golden State and San Antonio are a couple, and then there's maybe a couple more. But like if we can get a team that plays defense with, I mean, like then we would be a lot better offensively. I mean, we're not a bad offensive team. We can get better for sure, but we're definitely a bad defensive team. So if we can get a Mark Jackson who could teach this team how to play defense, I want Mark Jackson. That's who I'm hoping we get. Like I don't know why. I mean, yeah, he had that incident where he was out there preaching on the street corner or whatever. But I'm like, all right, maybe he learned from that. Like, and to me, that's not that big of a deal to me, to be honest. Like just coach the team. I don't think that affected that. I mean, Golden State was, he put them in a position that they're in now. Now do I think he would have won championships with that team like Steve Kerr is? Probably not. I'm not necessarily sure. I think he could have maybe have gotten one possibly, but I don't think he would have put them as good as Steve Kerr has made them. So I'll give you that. But that being said, I still think he's a really good coach, and he's a New York guy. He's an ex-Knick, and I think he should be the hire now. Jay Wright would be a nice hire, but he's not crazy enough to leave Villanova for the Knicks. If he's gonna leave to go to the NBA, it's gonna be a good job. It's gonna be something worth going to. It's not gonna be that job. Stackhouse, I'm not really, I don't know anything about him, so I'm always skeptical about somebody I don't know. But they, I mean, David Fizdale, I wouldn't mind him either. I like David Fizdale. I thought Memphis don't have the talent anymore. I never thought Memphis had a lot of talent, to be honest. I thought they had a solid team, and he made them really good. But I don't, I'm not. Excuse me. I'm not like I'm not. I thought he did good. I mean, not just him, but everybody that was there before him. I never thought Memphis was that talented. So, I thought he did a good job with the team that he had in a tough conference. So I wouldn't mind him. As far as David Blatt, I'm not really. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not even.
I'm not interested.
Yeah, I'm not interested. Like just forget about David Blatt. That's not what I'm in. I'm not looking for David Blatt. Forget about that.
Well, who's your dream coach to coach the Knicks right now?
Assuming everyone is open. Everyone is available.
Well, besides Steve Kerr, besides Steve Kerr,
well,
and,
I would say Greg Popovich. I wouldn't even say Steve Kerr
and Popovich. Yeah.
But I don't know. I've always liked Rick Carlisle. I always thought he was kind of underrated.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. I thought they did. I know you're not gonna like this, but I thought that they should have gave Larry Brown at least one more year to see if he could turn them around.
Who's he coaching now? He's not coaching anybody.
I think he's with a college team still, like that.
Florida. He quit that team.
Oh well, that's what he does.
Yeah,
so I'm not surprised there, but yeah.
And his style of basketball is outdated. He wouldn't last in this league. I would. Maybe 15 years ago, whenever he won a championship in 2004, that was 14 years ago. Maybe then, but now he ain't winning shit. He ain't winning shit now. You know what I'm saying? This league ain't for him.
Right. I can't think of anybody else outside of the ones that you told me not to name. What about you? Who would you consider a dream coach?
Dude from Texas. I forgot the guy's name. I'm gonna look it up right now. Texas basketball. Shaka Smart. That's exactly who I want. I want Shaka Smart. To me, That he is the future of basketball. Come to the Knicks. Whatever amount of money you can get him to go away from Texas, come coach for this team. He's about the only guy. Whoever else they pick, I mean, I'm not looking for a big name. Anybody from a system, even Mike Budenhausen, whatever his name is in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, from Atlanta, yeah.
Um, who's who right now is winning with Brad Stevens. Oh Jesus.
Oh, how did I forget about Brad Stevens? How did I forget about him?
Brad Stevens, forget about it. Like yeah.
Outside of Popovich, I think he's the second best coach in the NBA. I think he's only better. I think only Popovich I would take over Brad Stevens. But Shaka Smart is actually is also a good one. Now he's too smart to take the no pun intended to take the Knicks job, but yeah, he's going to get a good job in his league.
It's not about being smart to take the Knicks job, but maybe if he sees he can work with this roster, and there's not even a roster. It's more of the owner and
that's the problem.
And the New York media.
Yeah,
like that they'll be calling for his head once they start losing. It'll just be like, why are you here? You're a college coach, send him back where he came from. You got dumbass Spike Lee. Since he's black, Spike Lee may not do anything since Shaka Smart's black, but like it's going to be hard to coach here in New York. But Tim Hardaway Jr. had an exit interview where he said it was here in New York they have 5 coaches and none of them really win. It's hard to coach here in New York. That's why people probably don't want to coach here. I'm like, well, if you win, then you would stay. That's everywhere. It's not just New York. That's anywhere.
Right.
When you win, you stay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very rare that you get a coach that stays in the team forever who does not win.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's not the norm. You know what I'm saying? That's rare.
Right.
Most teams.
Jeff Fisher. I mean, especially in NBA, it definitely doesn't happen too often. Like, you have to definitely have some kind of success. And I mean, it's hard in any league to stay with any. Like, you could just have a disappointing season, and you know what I mean. Even like you could just barely make the playoffs and have a disappointment. Like for instance, Billy Donovan, he might be on a hot seat. You know what I mean? They barely made the playoffs, and they got three star players, and plus Steven Adams, if you count him as a 4-star, because Steven Adams is probably better than people think. But yeah, I mean, like, he might be on the hot seat because they were too good to just barely make it on 2 days left in the season. Minnesota, Tom Thibodeau, like, he's gonna get more leeway because he just got hired. But like Minnesota, they went and got all these veteran guys. They put a nice mix of veterans around Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns, and Karl-Anthony Towns is excellent. But
they're not developing Karl-Anthony Towns. They're not developing Wiggins. Those guys should be, his style of defense first, offense second makes it's kind of confining,
but they're not even a good defensive team. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. That's the crazy part. Like Tom Thibodeau, Tom Thibodeau is known for defense. Jimmy Butler is known for defense. Andrew Wiggins was known for defense, and Karl-Anthony Towns is a athletic, solid big man who should be able to be good on defense, and somehow their defense is not that good. And then I watched them the other night in that playing game against Denver. I see why they struggle. Like, the last 2 minutes of the game, they had you have Karl-Anthony Towns on the floor, you have Jimmy Butler on the floor, you have Andrew Wiggins on the floor. Not one of them was touching the ball in possession. Like, they had Jeff Teague running a pick and roll with Taj Gibson. and under 2 minutes left. So I'm like, you got three really good star players on the floor, and none of them are touching the ball.
Yeah, I really don't understand that. Andrew Wiggins at this point should be an all-star.
Yeah,
he should be.
And he's not happy, by the way.
I would love to take Andrew Wiggins away from them. If they don't know how to use him, I would get if we get a high pick in this draft, trade it for Andrew Wiggins. He will be our small forward. Trade for Andrew Wiggins. I guarantee it. This is LJ's guarantee that this guy will make the All-Star team next year. If he was playing for the Knicks, starting at small forward for us, let regular season the dude averaged 17 points a game. That's not what he should be averaging. He should be averaging 25, 26, 27.
Yeah.
That's what he should be doing.
Yeah,
they should be letting him loose.
Yeah. Well, see, the problem with Andrew Wiggins is he doesn't have that aggressive, like, mindset. So part of the reason why he's not like he's not that guy is because he's not showing that as the guy. You know what I mean? He's not going out and being that aggressor. So it's like they're not gonna
you have to feature him.
You got to show that, but there's got to be something somewhere where he's not doing it as to why they're not, you know what I mean, featuring him. Because if he's that good, they'll feature it. You know what I mean? Like if you're that good and they have that much confidence in you to do that, then they'll feature you. You know what I mean? Like, so it's got to be something that he's showing them, and I definitely watch him on the court, and I'm not seeing it either. Like, it doesn't like he can score, but it's like he reminds you of like a Rudy Gay. You know what I mean? Like a regular guy out there who's better than most of the guys out there, but not the guy. You know what I mean? So it's like that.
Well, he doesn't have to be the guy. Karl Anthony Towns can be the guy. I'll be more than happy with him if I was my team. I'd be more than happy with Karl Anthony Towns being the guy on the team.
Right.
But this guy, like, he's not even doing as good as Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah.
And and that's not good for somebody who has that kind of talent. He's more talented than most of these shooting guards out there. He's more talented. Like, he's not as quick because that's why they put him at small forward, because he's not explosive.
Right.
But he can score. He can score in bunches if he wants. But he has to work on that, and you need to get somebody who's going to feature him. Number one, he needs to get away from Minnesota and go somewhere else where he's the guy. And I think that he'll find a way to score. It's kind of like what happened with Oliver Candy. Oliver Candy, yeah. Is that my son's name?
Candy?
Right? Nope. It's Oladipo.
No. Oladipo. I'm like, wait a minute. Oliver Candy, he was the bust.
Yeah, he was the bust. Yeah, it's Oladipo. It's kind of what happened with him. He started out in Orlando. They had all these high expectations for him because he's so athletic, and he didn't really pan out there. They put him on the bench. So I was saying even back then, I wanted the guy. I was saying that back then. I said, he should be playing. He should try to see what we can get for him. But because they were burying the guy. Then they brought him out to Oklahoma City, playing out there with Mr. Ballhog, Russell Westbrook, and he didn't really pan out there. He did even worse because you got somebody who wants to average a fucking triple double.
Right.
And when he goes out there to be the man in Indiana, where there's no other competition out there, Paul George, is gone, and he explodes.
Right.
24, 25 points a game. Right. Exactly what he should be averaging.
Right.
For somebody
and when he was with Westbrook in Oklahoma, he was a shell of that. Like everything about him was not that. So it's like, not to go too hard on Westbrook, but it's like, Westbrook hurts people's game. Like,
he does.
Somehow he's a triple double waiting to happen, but it's like nobody develops well with playing with him. He's too much of a.
Because Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant was better
before them.
Right, and Kevin Durant was better. Was one of the best players in the league. So he was going to be great. You know what I mean? Like, but the other guys like Melo, Paul George. Melo should. Now Melo's a little older now, but he should be playing pretty well with a. If he doesn't have to carry the load, and he, you give him the ball in the spots where he wants it, he could be way more efficient. But I just don't think Westbrook is the right guy for that. So it's like
Westbrook, you're right. Westbrook will never win a championship because he does not play winning basketball. He plays selfish ball.
Right. Just think about, they say he needed 16 rebounds to have another triple-double season. He went out and got 20 rebounds. Like that was his, that's what he wanted. So I'm like, all right, whatever. But I'm like, I'm just not, you already did the triple-double thing. It shouldn't have been that big of a deal to you. You know what I mean? You should have been looking more. It's like, all right.
So he averaged it again?
He averaged it again, yep. He needed 16 rebounds. He got 20. So, and now he averaged 10 rebounds a game. He got a triple double. So he's the first player to do it twice. So
I think Oscar Robertson did more than one.
No, he's definitely the first one to do it twice. That's why they made it such a big deal. Definitely twice in a row. Maybe he did do it twice, but definitely twice in a row is a record.
I don't know,
yeah.
but yeah. I thought that Oscar Robertson would do it.
I kind of thought that too until they said it. I was like, okay, well, I guess not.
I think that when Oscar Robertson, I think that some years he'll average 10 assists,
but not 10 rebounds.
10 rebounds.
Right,
so
right.
It kind of evened out at the end where he averaged like 39 and 9.
Right. So we have to look it up to see for sure. But yeah, I think you're right though. Move on to the real quick to the Rookie of the Year debate: Donovan Mitchell versus Ben Simmons. They had a little Twitter or Instagram back and forth about who. First, Ben Simmons had said, that he should be at number 100%, and then Donovan Mitchell basically saying, "Well, you're not a true rookie." But I'm like, okay, based on the rules, he's a rookie, so don't even bring up. And then he wore a shirt saying the definition of a rookie is to play in your first season, but the point is he didn't play in his first season, so he qualifies as a rookie. So who would you give the Rookie of the Year to?
Well, I've actually heard this debate on another sports channel on Saturday? Oh, no, maybe a few days ago. No, it's a few days ago. I actually heard this debate, and they were saying, well, if you're in the NFL and you're drafted as a quarterback, and they make you sit for a year, when you first play, you're not a rookie. You're still a second-year player.
Right.
So how come that rule only applies to the NBA, whereas you
if you're injured, right? If you're injured, then it doesn't count. They say
it doesn't count. Even in like the in baseball, like Derek Jeter, his first games were in '95,
right?
But he got pulled up so late, whereas
it didn't count as him being a rookie. Right?
Yeah, so he was a Rookie of the Year in '96, so he already played '95. So they kind of made it fair for him because with baseball with the call ups and things like that.
Yeah,
But my point is, I think it works for the NBA because if the guy, you're only a rookie once. If you miss your entire rookie season, you shouldn't be penalized for it,
right?
Because you were injured. But I also get the other point where they're saying, well, this guy, he got a whole year where he can just sit and train with NBA players,
right?
And I'm a true rookie. I just came out of college,
right?
I didn't get a chance. It's my first time, So this guy got 2 training camps. I ain't got 1.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I get his argument, but I'm like, the rule is the rule. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about the rule. I
think they should make him co-rookie of the year.
Yeah, I mean that would be fair. That'd be cool, and I would be okay with that because they both had great rookie years. Like Donovan Mitchell averaged 20 a game, Ben Simmons averaged 16, 8, and 8. They're both in the playoffs. I think Donovan Mitchell's team is less talented, and he's playing in a tougher conference. But I think Ben Simmons, averaging 16, 8, and 8 is pretty damn good
this year.
16 game winning streak at the end too. That's just.
And I've mentioned it on our first podcast that this guy is the new Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
He is. Everyone's talking about Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is going to be Jason Kidd. To be honest with you, he's going to be a good. Not Jason Kidd is more than just good. He's great. I think he's going to be a great player in this league. But I think that Ben Simmons is going to be special.
Absolutely.
And I would do I just really wish that he would have played for the Knicks. That 1-2 with him and Porzingis would just win championships.
Mm.
And I can just see it now.
Yeah, that would be nice. But
it would be more than nice.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the NBA playoffs matchups. All right, so playoffs. So all right, we'll start with we're just gonna do quick predictions. Wolves and Rockets. How you think that series is gonna go? And how many games?
Rockets in 4.
You think they're gonna sweep them?
Yes, it's gonna be easy. This is gonna be. I think that the factor is gonna be Chris Paul. He really desperately wants to get the first round before his. He's got the first round before, but he's
never gotten out of the second round.
Yeah, he's never gotten the second round, so they're gonna be nice and rested. I'm about to say Minnesota has nobody for them, but they have a lot of things for them. They just don't know. They don't know how to use them.
I mean, yeah, I don't think they're gonna sweep them. That's why I think it's gonna be. I think Houston's gonna win, but I'll say 6. I think Minnesota's got enough talent. They're a young team, but I think got enough veterans and enough talent to get a couple of games out of this. I think Houston, even though Houston, they play defense. I think they're like 6th in the league in defense this year, so they play defense. It's not like they're a typical D'Antoni team, but I still just until I actually see them dominate like they're supposed to, I just don't trust them yet. But I think that they have enough. I think I'm gonna go 6. I think Houston is gonna go to 6. All right. Spurs Warriors.
Warriors. Spurs don't have the head case Kawhi Leonard playing for them, so Spurs are going to. I would give them a fighting chance just because of Popovich, but
right.
They don't really have a lot of talent in that team.
Right.
They have a lot of old guys and a lot of guys who are role players.
Mm-hmm.
Their talent is a fucking head case. Is not playing. So they're going to need, like, this is a transition season, and like usually in these type of seasons where your best player is hurt and you got a bunch of old players and a bunch of role players, you suck. But this is Popovich, so he makes
they're
the
never
playoffs
gonna
any
suck.
goddamn way.
They're never gonna suck.
He makes the playoffs anyway in the West,
right?
And we act like it's nothing because it's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So Tony Parker, his career is winding down. Jobi's career has been over for 3 years now. I don't know why he's still playing.
Yeah, I don't. He just won't go away. But I'm gonna say Warriors in 5. I think Curry. Even though Durant's their best player, I think Curry's kind of their most important player. Like he's the tempo guy for them on top of being the great shooter he is. So I think it's gonna be a five competitive games. I think the Spurs can compete with them without Curry, and I think Kawhi Leonard it would be nice. I really wish Kawhi Leonard would come back. But if Kawhi Leonard was there and he came back, then I could give San Antonio actually a fighting chance without Steph Curry. But Kawhi Leonard's not going to play, so I'm going to say Warriors in a competitive 5. Now we got okay, go ahead. Okay. So then we got New Orleans Pelicans and the Portland Trailblazers. What do you think?
Since Boogie's not playing, but it doesn't matter because Anthony Davis is just ridiculous.
Beasted.
This is actually going to be a good series, I think. Because I can't really predict who's going to win this, but I would give it the edge to New Orleans. I'll say New Orleans in 6.
Really?
Yeah, I would give the edge to them. Even though Damian Lillard out there, like he's clutch. They just don't have the kind of talent that New Orleans has, and
well, that backcourt is crazy. McCollum is a beast too. So I'm gonna go Portland, and I'm gonna say Portland in 7. I think it's gonna go 7. I think these teams are kind of not one team isn't much better than the other. Matter of fact, most of these teams outside of Houston and Golden State, they were all bunched up at the end. Oklahoma was one game from missing the playoffs, but they ended up getting the the fourth seed. So that's how close all the teams are. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Portland is 7. Now Jazz Thunder. Thunder, they're at home. Jazz on the road, and I still really don't know who the Jazz have outside of Donovan Mitchell and and Gobert. So I don't know who else the Jazz have. So I'm gonna go with the Thunder just based off the fact that they have more talent. But the Jazz coach is another guy, Snyder. He's one of those guys who's like kind of reminds you of Boston's coach. Like he's really good. And he's that good of a coach, especially with them losing Haywood, and then they just lose guys. Them in Portland are just well-run organizations where they lose guys, their best players leave, and then the next year they draft somebody and that person just fits right in, and then all of a sudden they're still rolling. So, but I'm gonna go Thunder just off the fact that they have more talent and they have home court advantage.
I'm gonna for that series. I'm gonna go Utah. I'll go Utah in 7. I think this is Donovan Mitchell's coming out party. I think that he's gonna single-handedly lift them above this team. I'm not saying that he's that much greater than that team, but he's just gonna lift them above, and he's gonna stun this. He's gonna stun Thunder. It's gonna be a really good series.
Yeah, I didn't even say how many games. I think it's gonna go 7 also. I think because Jazz is a better, more well coached. So I'm gonna go 7. As now we're going to the Eastern Conference. Washington Wizards at Toronto Raptors.
Jeez.
And by the way, these matchups suck in the East.
Yeah, I know. I would say who's hurt? Is there are a lot of injuries for?
I think John Wall. I think John Wall is back. I'm not, but I think he's back. So.
All right, I'm gonna pick Washington over Toronto for no reason at all. All right, no, I have a reason for that. I just kind of think that I thought that Toronto was pretty much over the hill coming into this season, but they damn near won the whole East, and it wasn't because they were playing so well. It's because everyone in the East sucks. Yeah. Everyone just injuries happened in Boston, and
the East definitely sucks.
In that situation in Cleveland, but I would just give the edge to Washington in this series.
All right, I'm definitely gonna go Toronto, and to be honest, I think they're gonna actually sweep them. I think they're gonna sweep Washington. I don't think Washington's that good this year. I think Toronto is better than they used to be, and I think they're a real versatile team. They're not gonna be world beaters or anything like that, but I think they're definitely way better than Washington. I think Washington is not that good, and they're just gonna wipe the floor with them easily. Next one is Milwaukee Bucks at Boston Celtics.
Milwaukee is going to beat the shit out of Boston because, well, I'm not going to say beat the shit out of, but they have their best players hurt, and Brad Stevens is a great coach, so he works around things like that. But I still think that Milwaukee's going to win this series, just based on the fact that you need those stars to win these games, and Milwaukee has the best star right now. They do in the playoffs. So I would have to give the edge to Milwaukee.
This is a tough. Oh, go ahead.
It is tough because if they had Kyrie, but is Kyrie really that much of a difference maker when it comes to offense? Yeah, but defensively, no.
Well, I think he would absolutely be a difference maker. Like if Kyrie was healthy,
I'm talking about defensive.
If Kyrie was healthy, I would definitely pick Boston easy. I would pick Boston, and I wouldn't think twice about it. But they just have nothing left. They lost their two best players, and I just don't. It's going to be hard for them. Like, to be honest, I really don't know how the series is going to go. Like, I don't know. Like, I seen Boston during the regular season and how gritty they were with all these guys out. I think I'm gonna agree with you. I gotta go with Milwaukee, but I think it's gonna go 6 or 7. I don't see them because Brad Stevens is just one of the best coaches. Second, like I said, I think he's the second best coach in the NBA. So I'm gonna go in a tight one. I'm gonna go Bucks in 6 or 7. Miami Heat and Philadelphia Sixers.
Philadelphia and 2. How about that? But Miami has nothing for Philly. They have nothing for them. They have nothing. They really don't have that much talent there. I would say they'll win one game just because just out of pride's sake. But you know me and how I feel about that coach in Miami, Spoelstra.
Yeah, I give him a little more respect than I used to. But yeah, go ahead.
He's one of the. I'm not saying he's one of the worst coaches, but he's just not that good of a coach. He's just not.
I think
the fact that he has a ring, the fact that he has 2 rings is just like. It's just ridiculous. Like I would get a ring with. I mean, isn't LeBron the coach of that team? You know what I'm saying? Like, LeBron's the coach of Cleveland right now.
Well, they've been playing. It's funny. I'll get into them in a minute. But as far as the Heat Sixers, I'm gonna say, I think maybe he can squeeze one. But I give Spoelstra more credit. Like, there was one time where I thought he was a really good coach, but then there was a time where I thought that he wasn't that good of a coach. But I think he's a solid coach. I think he's in the upper third tier of coaches. I'll give him in the top, and in the top out of the top 10. I'll put him around. I'll put him somewhere in the top 10 coaches in the league. I think he's. Like, Miami doesn't have a lot of talent. I mean, they are in the East, so it makes it easier for him to get to where he's at. But I'll give him more credit than I used to give him in the past. But I'm gonna give Philly the edge in 5. Because they just don't have a lot. He just doesn't have a lot. So, and the last one is Indiana at Cleveland.
Cleveland and 6.
Okay.
6. Oladipo is going to win a few games for them. They're going to have Oladipo in that center they have out there in Indiana. They're not going to sweep anybody because Cleveland's not really playing that well. Cleveland's, even though they have LeBron, it's going to be hard. And the East is just terrible. It's going to be extremely hard for them to win. Like, they're going to win by default. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to have an easy road because they're not that good either.
Yeah, I agree. They're definitely not as good as they used to be.
Yeah, they're not really that good either. And all the trades that they made, I think that if they would have kept Isaiah Thomas, they would have won more games.
well, he's hurt again. He didn't finish the season. He got hurt with about 4 or 5 games left. So they did right by trading him. And I'm gonna say Cleveland in 5. I still think they're not gonna be able to compete too much with them. I agree with you that Cleveland's not that good, but I still think Indiana is not going to be good enough to compete with anything LeBron can throw at them. I think Cleveland's not going to get challenged until the second round, where they will be playing, I believe, Milwaukee. No, they will be playing Toronto in the second round. So, I don't think Cleveland's going to get challenged too much in the series.
Washington in the second round.
No. Well, then that means they won't get challenged anytime soon. Then until they play possibly Philly in the Eastern Conference Finals. But we'll reassess that after the first round. But I'm gonna say Cleveland at 5. I think Indiana can maybe get 1, but I think most games are still gonna be mostly dominated by Cleveland because I just think they're just better and I don't know. It's LeBron. He just doesn't have too much issues in the first round, and I expect that to keep happening this time around. Anything else you want to add? Because I think it's time to wrap this up.
No. It's It's pretty much a done deal. It's going to be Golden State and Cleveland. Uh, if it's Golden State and Philly, then Golden State will sweep them.
What if it's Houston and Cleveland?
Houston and Cleveland. If Houston makes it to the championship, they're going to win.
That's kind of what I feel too. But I also want to see how well Cleveland looks on the way to the finals to before I count them out. But yeah, if they're good enough to get that far, then it's gonna be hard to go against them. You're right. But all right, that's basically the show, guys. The email address is lemarinlj@gmail.com. Email us with questions or comments. Please do, because we want to know what y'all think. And I'll put all the rest of the stuff on our YouTube comments, our Twitter, and all that. Anything else you want to add?
I just want to thank my cousin Ivy Jackson.
Again?
I used to call him McCormick. I used to call him McCormick, but I just want to thank Ivy Jackson because I didn't thank her personally. You did.
Okay.
So I want to thank. I want to thank Ivy. She is. By the way, she says thank you for the shout out. She listened to the entire show.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. I guess that's it. We'll see y'all next time on What the Hell Are You Talking About?
Okay. Thank you.